So it's not really so much anything to do with the language per se. It could just be it could be confidence issue. It could be
Could be, yeah.
like a little bit of performance anxiety, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about public speaking when you're a TA? I've been a TA before as well.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a TA, do you have to speak in front of the class?
Oh yeah, sure.
The first one I would say that people notice right away is your body language, even
Mm-hmm.
before you've said anything. Um,
Yeah.
Generally people say communication is actually only like 10% the words that you use, and there's so many other like little micro communications with your eyebrows and
Mm-hmm.
your facial expression, your body language, especially the way your posture is, right? So there's that one thing. Have you ever heard about the power stance?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, so a lot of people talk about this power stance, and they recommend it for performers and also people who are going to be doing public speaking. And it's just a way to kind of get you confident in your body. I'll
Mm-hmm.
give you a little link about the power stance.
Okay.
And people talk about it. I haven't really done it too much myself, but a lot of people do claim that it gives them a sense of just empowering a little bit. I'm just trying to find here it is. Let me see, how long is this video? Maybe I can show it to you right now. Oh, it's a bit long, but I'm going to send you the link.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
It's a TED Talk, and she talks a lot about body language. When you have time, it's about 20 minutes. So
Okay.
are you seeing everything that I'm posting in the
Yeah,
chat?
yeah, I got the link. Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so Amy Cuddy, she talks a lot about your power stance. And I believe that the power stance is just doing this, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
I know it seems kind of silly. You don't want to do that in your class, but like, if you get a moment alone in the washroom or whatever, there's no harm in just kind of doing that, I might even start doing that. I'm also a musician, so it's
Oh, okay.
not a bad thing to do before you get on the stage, because when we're nervous, we really, a lot of the things that we say and do go into habits and memory muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Muscle memory, sorry. So because we get nervous, we get all this adrenaline, and then sometimes, I don't know how nervous you get with public speaking. Do you feel like you get nervous, or a little bit,
I mean,
or how would
it's
you?
not, it's not the same as I speak in other setting. I mean, in the public speaking, I have to stand alone at the stadium, at the podium, and then there is a need to speak very clearly. And I sometimes read my manuscripts, and I really focus on my manuscript, and it's very hard to follow reading um, um, reading, and then at the same time I have to think about how to make my body languages.
So the conference stuff, that's practice. So that's the first thing I would say. I mean, I'm sure you are practicing, but
Uh-huh.
really it cannot be overstressed that the more you practice, the more at ease you're going to be. That you
Uh-huh.
feel that you. So what I would recommend doing is recording yourself. I don't know if you've ever done this. You can tape yourself on your computer.
Uh-huh.
If you have video, that's probably the best, video and sound, because then you
Mm-hmm.
can kind of watch yourself. And it's kind of a weird thing to do, but I mean, when you watch it later, you're like, this is strange. I'm watching myself do what I just did. But
Mm-hmm.
really, you can notice parts of the presentation that are lagging, parts of the
Mm-hmm.
presentation where you feel like this is not engaging anymore. This feels kind of robotic and a little sluggish. So that's one thing you can do. And if you don't have your computer, you can also just record into your phone if you have a
Mm-hmm.
smartphone, and just audio note section, just record your voice. And similarly, just take notes of areas where it might kind of pay attention, first of all, to your intonation.
Mm-hmm.
You want to allow the emotion that you are bringing to the subject to shine through in your delivery of the words. If something is frustrating, let it show. Mm-hmm. I think speakers, generally as a listener, and in my experience, but from talking to other people, it seems people respond to emotion and passion, right? So if you're passionate about a topic, that's the best way to pull your audience in, because people are generally drawn to passionate people because they care about what they're talking about. And nothing is worse than listening to someone talk about something they don't care about themselves. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, I'm sure you've listened to someone talking and kind of the subtextual clues in their delivery is, I actually don't care about this. I just have to do this because it's my job. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's always number one, is practice. Number two, you can record yourself.
Yeah.
Take notes. What works, what doesn't work. And four is try these things that you know, it's practice. So when you do it, you can think, you know what, that really went well. I really feel like I got the audience there. And things to keep in mind, of course, intonation. Mm-hmm. Pause. Pause is really important. Sometimes a pause can be more effective than anything. And, you know, good speakers to watch, you know, whether or not you like his politics or not, I think as a speaker, Barack Obama was quite an effective speaker. Barack Obama really used pause quite effectively. And also repetition can be an effective tool for speaking, because it underlines something that is truly important, right?
Yep.
These are things to keep in mind when you're doing your speech. And I mean, personally, I don't know how you feel about this, but I always like a little humor can go a long way. Mm-hmm. So humor as a means to kind of get the audience on board with you. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's just kind of like a general overview of what I would suggest for public speaking. We could do some exercises or and some role play, for example, where you are presenting something to me, and then I could give you some feedback. Mm-hmm. Or, I mean, it's up to you. What would you like to do?
Yeah, I'd like to do some exercise and then have some feedback from you.
That's a hard thing to stop, because that's a verbal tic that you developed, right? And we all have some. We all do have some. Sometimes people will say, well, or like is the worst. I'm sure you know someone or seen someone who's always saying like. So how can we get rid of the all the time? Being conscious of it, being aware of when you're doing it is one way. Trying to use other delaying tactics like well, so sometimes just allowing the pause, because maybe you feel like you need to, because you're taking up the floor space, you feel like you have to produce a sound, but it's okay to give silence between your words. It's actually quite powerful and will draw people towards what you are saying. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes sometimes that's the hard part, is just a continuous flow of sound, and it's hard to engage, right? If I just keep talking at you without pauses, you're going to tune me out, because you're like, oh, this guy's just talking. So sometimes the pauses are really effective. That was one thing I noticed. There was also a little bit of stuttering, but not too much. But mainly, see, I even do it. But mainly, your intonation is something that we could focus on.